Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of the Black Girl Inspire Her. I am your host, Sheniqua Inspires, and I am bringing you another amazing guest this week who is going to share some inspiration for everybody, but we just doing it from a Black girl's perspective. That's all. That's all. But it's definitely useful information that everyone is going to be able to use and apply in their own life. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to one of my new friends. She's one of my new sister friends, Nicole J. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I am blessed. I'm feeling good on this day. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and share space with you and your audience.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here because I know we all have so many competing priorities. We've got obligations, and you do a boatload of things. But I thank you for saying yes, because spreading a little inspiration to me is a gift. It's a gift that not everybody, I'm not going to say not everybody channels it. And being able to channel it, to use your words to impact someone's life, I just think it's a beautiful gifting, and we want more people to get into the habit of doing so. But I do thank you for your yes, because I know you could have been anywhere, everywhere, and the fact that you stopped by is an honor to me. So I say welcome. Now I need you to introduce yourself because we are just getting to connect with one another. So I want to become more familiarized with what it is that you do. And I want my audience to know who Miss Nicole J is. Tell us about
Okay.
yourself.
Hi, everybody. So, my name is Nicole J. I'm owner of A Distinct Image, which is a lock salon slash lock school for locticians. I am a loctician educator. I am also known as the Healthy Lock Preceptor. So, I teach locticians my philosophy of doing locks, which is a holistic approach to locks. And that is literally taking the professional products in a holistic standpoint and meshing them together. I am also a neo herbalist. I am also a occupational self care advocate. I am also just a lover of self care. I take great pride in being able to care for myself, and that is literally the standpoint that I take for my clients when they're being serviced in the salon. I do everything from a wellness standpoint so that we can get everything together at the same time in the same journey.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And listen, you might as well just consider yourself at home. You in a good place, because I believe my viewers understand. I think everybody who I've had in this square next to me is a multitasker. They got a
Absolutely.
multitude of different things that they're doing. So you are right at home, my sister. And
Right.
and listen, we understand. So you're talking to people who understand doing a little bit of everything. But one of the things that I know, and I'm sure you will be able to attest to this, with all of the multiple hats that we tend to wear, right? We're doing everything for everybody. We're showing up, we're representing. And sometimes there are people either that we encounter, or it may be something that we start to deal with ourselves or struggle with from time to time, is about the topic of self love.
Mhm.
Now, just to rewind a bit for everyone, I actually met Nicole on a panel. We were doing a discussion together with the We Believe You SOS. We were doing a speaking event, and you all met Rowena. She was on the show as well. So you guys are familiar with her. Nicole and I met through her platform, and we were doing a series for the month of February about self love. And I love when I'm on a panel and I get to hear these other individuals give their take on something, because I come in, I know what it is that I'm feeling and believing, and just to have someone that compliments. So everything after we were saying, like, yeah, and like Nicole was saying, and she said, oh, yeah, like Sheniqua was saying, like, we really complimented each other and what it is that we were talking about as it pertains to self-love. So I was like, I had to reach out to her. I was like, I'm gonna need you to come and share with my audience a little bit about this self-love, because I just felt that it was so powerful and so impactful. So let's get us started. Kick us off and tell us what self-love is, right? Because we want to be able to identify it, because many people may not be familiar with that term. So we want to start out by just putting a blanket definition as to what it is, and then tell us why it's so important for us to either utilize it or not utilize it. So the
Okay.
floor is yours, sis.
Okay. So if I'm gonna, I try to make things personal, but in a general way, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gonna tell you what self-love is, I'm gonna tell you what it is to me. And so what it
Yes.
is to me is a sense of being, right? It's a sense of being. It's not something you do, it's something you are. And or
Mm-hmm.
something you cultivate for yourself, right? So that is from a wellness standpoint, from a psychological standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, literally honing in on those things and caring for those things on a way deeper level than the surface level. Why is it important? It is important. Now, did you ask me why is it important for us to do, or why is it important for us, or why is it important? What was the question again? I want to make sure I'm
So just
answering.
go with, why is it important? So you've defined it
Okay, got
for
you.
us. So tell us, what is there any importance in it? That's what I should probably be asking, right? Because some people might be on the opposite of side of the fence, like, no, we don't need that stuff. Get that out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with yes. It's definitely important because I feel like the world society tells us who and how we should be, right?
Hmm.
And they forget the most important thing, or the most important person in this being in the world and being in society, is being us first, right?
Hmm.
So if we are not giving ourselves the opportunity to love on ourselves, to care for ourselves, to, do I really like this? Do I really
Hmm.
like her? Do I enjoy talking to him? Do I enjoy
Right.
this environment? If we don't tap in with ourselves, we're only going to be what society and the world tells us to be. So having that self-love for yourself is loving yourself deep enough to consider yourself first. And that's why it's
Hmm.
important to me.
Yes, I totally wholeheartedly agree. Now let's do a self check, right? So we've identified what it is. We've spoken a little bit about the importance of it. What's kind of, and matter of fact, let's go on the other side of it. Let's talk about what someone would look like if they lacked that self love, if they were not representing self love. What would they kind of look like?
If we're being complete, this is safe space, right? This is a
This
real
is a
safe
safe
space,
space for
right? Okay,
sure,
so
for
this is safe
sure.
space. So
Yes.
if we're gonna be completely honest, a person without self-love is gonna look the same way as a person who starts self-love, right?
Mm.
Because the beginning of self-love is ugly, it's brutal,
Mm.
it's harsh, it's like bare bones reality sitting right in your face, right?
Come
It's
on.
acceptance. And that's the same way it looks for you to not have self-love. The thing is, you're
Hmm.
not accepting yourself, you're accepting the other things that are around you that are telling you yourself actually is, right?
Hmm.
So you're not accepting your core qualities, you're accepting what someone is telling you your core qualities are. You're not accepting, or you're not working with the bare bones of what your environment is around. I mean, you are working with what your environment is around you instead of focusing on the environment within you. You
Hmm.
are working on the things that the world is telling you you should be versus looking into who you actually are.
Right.
Those are the things that I would say a person who is not giving self-love to themselves would look like. And it really, 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 to me, especially based off my experience, mirrors the beginning of a self-care journey. It honestly
Mm-hmm.
probably gets a little uglier because then you gotta sit with yourself, right? You have to sit
Right.
with
Right.
yourself. You gotta unpack all of these things that you have packed on for all of this time, however long it's been
Yes.
that you've packed on. You gotta unpack it a little bit at a time. And in each thing you unpack, you need to look at it. Is it dirty?
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
smell it
Smell
a
it.
little
Smell it a little bit. Yeah.
bit. Let me see what that you
Yeah.
each thing, right? And to me, it's not that you ever get to a point of like complete self-love. There's always a way to evolve in it, right? There's always a way
Mm-hmm.
to dig deeper. So you might have pulled out that orange shirt. It might not have looked dirty, but you ain't sniffed the armpits. Right,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
go back
Like
in
you
and
didn't see that little stain down at the bottom. Uh-huh.
the
You
bottom,
missed
right?
that one.
You might have dropped a little piece of, a little piece of sauce or
Yeah.
something. You might have
Yeah.
followed drop drip a little bit. And so it's literally just digging deeper and digging deeper and digging
Mm-hmm.
deeper.
I love what you said, and it reminds me of the saying, ignorance is bliss.
Right.
Right? If you don't know, if all you know, if all you've adapted to is what society has told you, then we actually put up like a force field almost, like we're in the shell. I think that's a better way of describing it. We become a part, like we've got this shell around us, and
Mhm.
we're only able to see what society tells us to see. We're not able to see or think on our own. And it's reminding me of, there was a book, I don't know if it's Fahrenheit 451 or one of those books that they make us read in high school. And it's been a long time since I've been in high school, so I don't remember all of them, but it is about that, that's what society tells us. And they, if they tell you you're smart, then you're smart. If they tell you you're ugly, then you're ugly. If they, like, whatever they tell you, there are a group of people who have just grown to accept that and will put that on as their shell, and they walk around with that. And you know what, they're quite happy. They are
Right.
quite happy. They're like, all right, if I'm ugly, I'm ugly. If I'm not so smart, I'm not so smart. And they're just comfortable with it. And oftentimes they make certain they represent. They
Right.
represent. So they don't care what they put on, because it's like, you know what? Society says I'm ugly, so it be. So here it is, me and all my ugliness. Like they won't even put forth an effort. And that's what came into my head. It's like ignorance is bliss. So if you're just willing to accept what society says, then you can grow quite comfortable in your little shell.
Yeah.
But
It's
baby,
so unfortunate.
if you decide to break down those walls and start taking an internal look to build up your new shell, it can, and I agree with you, Nicole, it can get downright ugly, because the truth of the matter is we got to get to the truth of the matter, or the heart of the matter. We've got to chip into that, and we've got to see why we were thinking the way we were thinking. Like, whose thought was that? And as soon as we start picking apart, oh, that wasn't my thought. That was the thought of my father, or that was the thought of my mother, or that was the thought of my ex boyfriend. We start to chip away at that. And it's an ugly process, but it can be so freeing and
Yeah.
so liberating. And I recommend that people try it. I
Yes.
recommend that they try it. So, what else could you tell us about self love? So, if somebody is like, you know what, that sounds like something I might want to try. What would be some beginning steps that you would recommend for someone to do to get them started on this journey?
I would recommend affirmation music. I
Mm-hmm.
love affirmation music. A lot of the times we don't tend to think of the things that we don't think about until we hear it from somewhere else or someone else or something
Mm-hmm.
else, right? And listening to, my thing has always been, if I'm going to listen to something repetitively in my ear, I'd rather it be something affirming for me, something that's
Yes,
going
for
to be
sure.
beneficial for me. No
Mm-hmm.
shade to anybody, but they play Drake song 50 times on the radio. I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
be repeating something by Tony Jones than singing Drake. If it's gonna be
Okay.
something ringing in my head, I need it to be Londrell. I need it to be Lauren, Natalie Lauren. I need it to be Tony Jones. I need it to be something that's gonna build me up. I need it to be
Mm-hmm.
Cleo Soul. I need it to be things or people that are going to make me think like, oh, that is me. I do
Mm-hmm.
that. Oh, and I can think about
Yeah.
it this way.
Yeah.
That because that's what they're there for anyway. That's what music
Yeah.
and TV and social media and all of those things are. They are put in front of you to entertain you so that you can
Mm-hmm.
put yourself in the space of whatever you're engulfing yourself
Mm-hmm.
in, your mind in, your thoughts in, your care in, your attention in. So if I'm going to
Yep.
be engulfing myself in something, I would definitely recommend affirmation music for sure.
And here's the beautiful part about it. And when you were saying that, I was hearing the word influencer, right? Because that is a term that we are so familiar with, especially those who are on social media. We're looking towards those influencers. And what are they doing? They are shaping and molding your mind to
Right.
believe whatever it is that they say. So
Yeah,
if they say that this video game is top notch and you need it, you out here ready to sell a kidney in order to get it, right? Because you're
literally.
so heavenly, right? You're so heavily influenced by it. But what
Mhm.
if you were listening to something that was music for your soul, that reminded you of how great and how powerful you are and how
Mhm.
beautiful and how worthy you are? Wouldn't you rather have that ringing in your ear day in, day out? Because I tell you this, when you turn on the radio and you just in there trying to get some background music while you're cleaning the house or you're cooking or you're doing your work, you just need some background music. Like you said, let a Drake song come on. Let a Beyonce song come on, right? Let Rihanna start singing Lift Me Up. And baby, that song is in your head
For the rest of the day.
all day long. And all you can say is lift me up, or you cuffing it and you do like you're doing all of this stuff. And it's like that seed gets planted, and that's what makes them so popular, because it's like, they're singing this stuff, they're saying this stuff, and subconsciously it's drawing you in.
Mhm.
Why not take control over that and listen to something that's going to be of a building nature? I
Absolutely.
agree. I
Can I
agree with
share
you.
something with you?
Sure, sure.
So I had to get a brain procedure done, right? And
Mm,
I was scared. I was so nervous. Any type of affirmation I ever did ever before, clean went out the window, right? Clean gone,
wow.
gone, right?
Wow.
And my client, one of my clients, she shared with me that you can request to listen to music
Hmm.
while you're in the operating room.
Yep.
When I got there, I actually, before I got there, I told them, listen, I need Tony Jones to play. I needed to play until I get to post op, and I don't need it to be turned off until I
Hmm.
am in that recovery room.
Yeah.
I listened to Tony Jones the entire time. Well, it played the entire time I was under sedation. When I tell you, I literally went under, like, this is gonna be a cakewalk. It's gonna be a
Mm-hmm.
cakewalk because it filled me with so much power, so much
Wow.
belief in myself, so much strength, so much vigor that I knew. For instance, my plan was, all right, let me get off this table so I can go to my son track me. He's coaching, I gotta go, you know? And that is literally what I did.
Wow.
That is what
Wow.
affirmation music did for me. I listened to
Wow.
that. I listened to Tony Jones the entire time. I
And you
was
know
not
what? How that it like helped you, it expedited your recovery. And I'm a
Literally.
registered nurse by profession, so I can attest to that. I can co-sign on that. You can put forth that request, especially if the doctors and everybody who's in there in agreement with, like, go for it, like, because a lot of times they do listen to music while you're in there.
Yep.
If you don't believe me, watch or watch any other
Yeah.
medical show. Like, it gets done. But the beautiful part about it was listening to those positive words was doing something subconsciously for you as the
And
patient. But
yes. And
just
everybody
imagine,
around
you
me.
guys, oh my goodness, can you just imagine the productivity of your doctor and the
Exactly.
nurses and the techs and the anesthesiologists? Can you just imagine how more efficient their work will become, because they are now receiving, they're listening to it because you requested it, but they're now ingesting it, and they're now getting more confident in their authority and doing what it is. Oh my gosh, that is just
Listen,
amazing.
that was the entire plan. I don't
Wow.
need anybody in here with shaky hands. I don't need
Yes.
anybody in here with disconnected thoughts. I don't need
Yeah.
anybody in here who are not sure, positive, confident in what you are
Hmm.
about to do to me
Hmm.
on this table. I need
Right.
everybody to be affirmed that this is going to be good. It's going to be positive. We're going to get good results. And we're going to leave out of here
Yes.
feeling more powerful. I was the first one of the day. And they literally told
Yes.
me when I finished, it was like, we have never heard any music like that before, but that's definitely going to be something regular that we. Then they was like, what's her name
Nice.
again? Let's write it down.
Nice.
Let's write it down. So I gave them a list of people, to listen to. But I literally have chills right now just thinking about it.
Nice.
That was
Nice.
definitely something that I had to do for my own self-love, my own self-care, while under the care of somebody else,
Yep.
physical hands. I
Yep.
knew that I was going to be sedated, and I needed it to just be in the room. I needed to
Yes.
feel it. It's more of a feeling. Like I said, it's something that you are. It's a being. It's a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're human beings and not human doings. And it's like,
Pretty much.
you have to instill that in yourself. You have to instill the self-love into
Yeah.
yourself in order to be self-love for the people around you. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't care about yourself, you're not going to project that to other people.
No. And even if you're not believing of it, right? Because we understand, it takes a while to unlearn some of the things that we've learned over time, right? Some of the things that society has taught us, it takes a while for us to unpack that. But it
Mm.
starts with us being willing to unlearn some of the things that we learned, so that way we are now open and we have space to gravitate to something deeper and more meaningful in our lives. So I love that positive affirmations. And even if you don't believe it, listen to it for a while.
Just a little bit.
Listen to it. Yeah.
Just a little
You'll
bit. And
start, it'll seep in.
if you're not gonna listen to that, something that I also recommend is the frequencies. So I listen to the binaural frequencies. So they
Hmm.
are is frequencies of sounds that release different hormones. So dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin,
Hmm.
endorphins, things that, like, you literally can go to YouTube and type in, like, if you're in a sad mood or down mood, you can type in sounds for happiness, sounds
Hmm.
for picking up your mood, sounds for, and literally, like, meditate in that space, and scientifically those sounds are releasing
Hmm.
the different hormones in your brain or neurologically in
Wow.
your body to give you the feel that you're looking for without having to. You literally can just lay there and breathe, and it's gonna do all.
Hmm.
Sound therapy is real. Like, it's
Yeah.
so good. I am in here over here and all types of goosebumps just thinking about it. Because these are the things that are so beneficial and helpful for me.
Yeah.
Like, I even
Yeah.
bring it into the salon. My clients be sleep. They just be
Wow.
sleep.
Wow.
Because they haven't been exposed to it. Like, I was literally just the other day, yesterday, listening to happiness um frequency. And my last client
Mm-hmm.
was like, this got me in a trance. Like he couldn't stay up, he couldn't keep his eyes open to save his life. And for me, it's
Wow.
doing exactly what it needs to do. Is I'm trying to lift my mood. I had been in an emotional space,
Mm-hmm.
grieving my father, and amongst other things. And I'm just like, I need to pick me up. I need to pick me up, and
Yeah.
I need it to be while I'm working. I don't necessarily want to hear words. I just want to hear sounds.
Yeah.
And because they have never heard it before, of course, there are binaural diseases, frequencies for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
listen
People are
to what,
familiar with that. Yeah.
right? But the happiness ones, it was like the same thing to them. So it's just like,
Nice, nice,
I'm
nice.
they just struggling.
And you know what, that is so powerful because a lot of times we look for drugs, like, because that, again, that's one of those things that we have to start being open enough and willing to unlearn. Like, we understand, I'm a registered nurse, so I understand the importance of medications, and I'm pro supplements. I've got a whole boatload of supplements that I enjoy taking, that it helps me to live my best life and be in my best state so that I can continue to do the things that I do. But I also think if you can find, and that's one of the reasons why I love supplements, because it's a natural version. So if there's a natural version of something that can get you similar, I'm not going to say the same, but similar types of effects on the body naturally, I lean in towards that holistic approach a little bit more.
Same.
So to know that you can use your senses. Come on, somebody. That's all we're doing here, is using our God given senses and
Mhm.
testing it out to see if it works. When you mentioned about the sleep, getting good amount of sleep is definitely conducive. It is a great form. My favorite form of self love is getting enough rest.
Yeah.
I've listened to the white noise. They got pink noise. They got
Pink
brown noise.
noise,
They got
brown
all
noise.
different.
Listen, we be on the same list. We
We
be
got
listening to all the
every
colors of the
color,
rainbow noise.
and we're literally just using our sense of hearing, the audible senses, to stimulate the chemicals. And serotonin is actually it's our body's natural antidepressant. Hello.
Literally,
If you're
literally.
suffering with depression, if you're feeling sadness and everything, stimulate those natural serotonins. Like, for those who follow me, like, you've heard me talk about that. So this is really, really good. And so I want to go a little further. So we're talking about the senses, right? We're talking about hearing and hearing those positive affirmations. You can also use sense, your sense of smell,
Mhm. Yep.
to boost your mood and to do some self-love. And when you said that you play that music in your salon, and you got your clients, like, they're like knocked out because they've never experienced anything like that. I have a friend that she owned a daycare, and she used the scents
Yep. I
to
do.
aromatherapy. Them
Me
little
too.
babies that was like, we're not going to sleep during nap time. She was like, oh no, you not. She was like, oh yes, you are. And she put on that diffuser.
Mhm.
Baby, them babies was sleeping like babies.
Mhm. You have to. I do the same thing in the salon, and it's so
Yes.
important that you know that when you cross the threshold, this is not only a space where you're going to, get having an amazing experience for your hair, but this is a safe space. This is
Yeah.
an emotional safe space. This is a physical
Mm-hmm.
safe space. This is a spiritual safe space. So, whatever you are carrying on you when you get here, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to leave it at the door. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Because when
Yeah.
you walk in, you're going to get the scent of either like some type of eucalyptus or lemongrass or some type of chamomile, something to just among contact. Mm, okay.
It just shifts
Okay.
the mood. It shifts the
Literally,
mood. Mm.
literally, it's nice and clean and
Yeah.
spacious and bright. So you feel like, okay, I can physically feel comfortable. And then
Yes.
you listening to the sounds. Okay,
Mm,
so I hear that I'm comfortable. Offer you some tea, something that's gonna help your insides, whether it's your digestive system, your
mm-hmm.
bronchial system, whatever the case may be. If you just want to relax, you just want something that tastes good, that's gonna rest your taste buds, right? Literally
Yes.
using all of your senses to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
dig deeper into yourself. That's what I
I
provide
love
to
it.
my clients and my students and
Mm,
myself.
mm, mm, mm. And
Thank
listen,
you.
I can attest to when I was deep in my season of grief. I actually use orange essential oil, and I would
Mhm.
sprinkle a little bit in the palm of my hands, and I would just get the aroma, and it was almost like it would perk me up. It would literally perk me up and give me like a jolt of energy to go
Mhm.
throughout my day and to get me through. So I love us stimulating the senses with the hearing of the positive affirmations, using the essential oils to really calm and soothe the savage beast in us. And you even went as far as talking about the taste and
Mhm.
sipping on the hot tea, either something that's purifying the system, the body. So to me, that is what total self love is about. It's about stimulating and tapping into the senses to really bring about that healing and that nurturing, so that way we can get to a place of wholeness or
Yeah.
wellness for a
Yeah.
sense. So I love that. Now, I do want us to talk a little bit. Well, before we go there, do you have any other words of inspiration that you would need to release to people to help them through this season of devoting time to their self love?
I would say to understand that every level you achieve in accepting, you're going to have to grieve the prior part.
Mm.
You're going to have to
Hmm.
grieve it because you don't want to go back to stay. You want to acknowledge, but you want to keep ascending, right? And so if we don't grieve it, we're going to just continue to hold on to it.
Hmm.
So tell yourself that you are deserving of grieving the old you.
Hmm.
Tell yourself that you are deserving of ascending to another level because it's going to be uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar, right?
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you're not worthy of it. So definitely grieve the old, ascend to ascend to the next. For sure.
Now, when people hear that word grieve, right, we usually ascribe that to death. And it is kind of like a death to self, to the former you. But when people hear that, they're thinking like, Nicole, are you telling me I got to sit here and bawl and cry
Mm,
and just control? So tell people what that, like, give us an example, if you can think of one, of what it looks like to actually grieve the former self so that you can accept, so you can ascend to the next level. Give us some more practical what that
sure.
looks like.
So if I'm using myself for an example, I was once a people pleaser, right? And so
Mm,
I learned that when you are people pleasing, you're not doing that because you love someone else. You're doing it because you fear losing that someone
mm,
else. And
mm,
so for me, it's like, okay, I understand this about myself. I am accepting this about myself. What can I do to not give in to this person who is the
mhm,
people pleaser? So I start to practice saying my no's, standing firm in my no's. But the moment I want to say yes and I really want to say no, I have to think about, okay, that was a great, I would love to be able to make them happy. I would love to be able to make them smile. I would love to make them comfortable, but I am not willing to make myself uncomfortable for their comfortability.
there you go. There you go. She
You
hit
know?
she hit the ball out the park on that one.
Yeah,
There it is. Yes.
literally.
Because that is what we, and it's almost, and you tapped on that word euphoria. We get a high Come
Mhm.
on, people. We get a high from seeing other people happy,
Yeah.
especially if it were from our hands, right?
Mhm.
Whether you're cooking something or you're creating something and you give it, you present it to someone else and they love it, they get happy. We instantaneously get happy. We get joy from serving other people.
Yeah.
But what if you're tired? What if you got a whole lot of people that's waiting to be served? And
Right.
now you're just doing this. It's almost like you're not even thinking about it. It's like you're a robot. You're just going through the motions. Got to make them happy. There was a commercial. Time to make the donuts. Time to make the donuts. Like you just got to go and you're in this unconscious rhythmic movement where you're constantly saying yes, yes,
Yeah.
and you've got a plate full, but you keep saying yes, and you're squeezing time and you're pulling and pinching to try to make time just so that you can hopefully gain that euphoria of when they're happy. But the flip side of that is sometimes people are never going to be happy. So you
Right.
might put forth all of that energy and effort and it's null.
Yep.
There was nothing. You did not get the result that you expected. Or
Mm.
maybe you got the results you expected, but you didn't get the feels. So it didn't
Right.
make you feel all happy and bubbly inside. You just like, oh, dude, I'm tired. I'm glad you happy, but shoot, I'm tired. So
I
you
mean,
overexhaust yourself.
and then you also got to think about like digging deeper into it, right? Where does this self gratification even come from?
Mm-hmm.
Why am
Mm-hmm.
I so excited to make someone else happy? Is it because I'm truly unhappy with myself? Or is it because I truly want
Mm-hmm.
to make this other person happy? Do I really want to
Mm-hmm.
make them, do I really want to serve them because it's coming from an egoic part of me? Or am I really wanting to serve them because it's coming from the integral part of me? With like
Yes.
identify where it's coming from so that you can
Mm-hmm.
put a name on it, identify it, accept it, process it in or out, right? And
Yes.
understand.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. So that's what we mean when we say grieve, right? It's identifying that deeper part of you as to why you're doing what it is that you're doing. And then and I love it. Nicole says, stand in the mirror and practice your nose. Say no like this. Say no
Mm-hmm.
like that. Deep it down,
Literally.
no. Put a
Yep.
little bass to it.
Y'all.
Come up with your sexy excuses if you must. My favorite one is, oh, that would be wonderful, but I just don't have the capacity right now. That's my
Literally.
favorite one. I don't
Literally.
have the capacity, right? Your program sounds amazing. I just don't have the capacity right now. And that's my super sexy way of getting out of stuff that I normally should have just said no to. But if you're
Yeah.
uncomfortable with that word, find you some practice saying it in the way you want to, just so that you are comfortable releasing it. And
Yeah.
then you get to grieve that former person who always said yes. And I love it. Nicole pinpointed it when you're making yourself uncomfortable. You
Right.
said yes to the extra project at work, and now you're not getting home to your family. Your kids are in the bed by the time you get home, and you miss their school play, right?
Right.
How does that benefit you? So it's
Right.
time that we start reanalyzing and reevaluating what we say yes to
Yep.
and strengthen our practice in saying no.
Yep.
I love it. And I think that's probably one of the best. A couple of we gave a couple of great resources, tapping and stimulating those senses, using the sound and the taste and the smell to really get ourselves practicing. We're in alignment now to show ourselves that we love ourselves. Before I
Absolutely.
let you go, Nicole, I do want to tap into your role again as this healthy lock preceptor. And tell us, what does that treatment of the hair do for self love, self care?
Well, first and foremost, our hair well, you know, as a registered nurse, but some people may not know, our hair is directly connected to our blood. And so if our hair is directly connected to our blood, and we are getting, you know, invigorated, and we are releasing, you know, negativity, or we're releasing stress and frustration and anxiety while we're just laying in a shampoo bowl, imagine how you
Mhm.
feel when you have literally allowed the stress and worries to be washed away in the shampoo
Mhm.
bowl. Imagine how you feel when you're receiving acupressure while you're laying back with your treatment, or when you get to
Mm.
the chair, in your neck and in your shoulders, possibly in your face, in the back of your head, in your occipital area. Imagine how you would feel when you are getting your oil treatment massaged in with
Mm.
intention and
Mm.
with care and
Mm.
with love and with firmness and warmth and comfortability. Imagine how you are going to feel anew when you
Mm.
finish.
I'm imagining it myself. I'm taken away. I'm like, oh, where can I go for that? That literally sounds divine. And I
Literally.
dare even say, and I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about anybody else, but it relates, say amen and keep going. But for me, I know, like, I used to have beautiful, thick, long hair when I was younger, teenager, beautiful long hair, and it grew. I could see the growth. I could cut it. I could literally chop it off, and I can watch it grow back to its beautiful and healthy length. And it's when I started having children, and my oldest says I'm always trying to blame him for something. Not that I'm blaming him for Andre. I'm not blaming you or your brother Justin for anything. But what I'm saying is hormones, responsibility, right? Because now I've got this new form found of responsibility, comes with the pressure of having to provide, and all of those stressors. My hair has gotten thinner
Mhm.
and thinner and it is just not coming back. I try to use treatments and stuff like that, but it is getting to a place where it's either we're gonna chop it all off, we're gonna lock it up, we're gonna do something with it so that it's but our hair is really deeply it's a living thing. It's a
Yeah.
living thing, and it gets affected by how we feel.
Yeah.
So,
And
sickness
it,
in our bodies, emotional distress, our hair got feelings.
yeah, it does. And it all boils down to our blood, right? So along with the things that we are experiencing, disease or just being unhealthy,
Hmm.
stress, frustration, anxieties, things of that nature, all pretty much relates back to what we put inside of our bodies, what we allow into our bodies, what we allow
Hmm.
ourselves to see to enter our bodies. So
Yes.
even though we have the option to eat healthy or not, or moderate, or whatever the case may be, even the healthy food has toxins in it that it didn't have 20 years ago, right?
Yep.
So essentially, it's all about the nutrients and the care that we're giving. Like, are we intentionally eating? Are we
Hmm.
intentionally thinking of our nutrition when we're eating? Or are we eating because we're sad? Are we eating because we're upset? Are we eating because we're stressed out, depressed, and anxious and frustrated? And what are we eating? A lot of the times, the things that we eat are cravings or we're eating because we crave whatever release it gives you when you bite into it, or whatever
Yep.
release you get when you crunch into it, or when it melts in your
Hmm.
mouth, or when it, you know what I mean? Because something
Yep.
melting in your mouth might relate to how you want to melt down the chair because you're just so frustrated, or how something
Yeah.
you bite into may resemble the anger you have when you that you get to release when you're crunching into something. All of those things draw back to what we put inside of our bodies. So if we are not flushing our bodies out with very dark green leafy vegetables, we're not cellularly hydrating our cells and our organs, a lot of those things are going to create issues with our hair. Our nails and our hair receive everything last. So if your body is already depleted, your hair and your nails are going to
Mm.
receive absolutely nothing. So that's why we have to pour into
Wow.
ourselves, because if we don't, and we already know our hair and nails receive everything last, and we're at a deficit on the inside. We don't drink enough water. When then the water we do drink is probably dirty, right? We're not drinking it and then for instance, if we are drinking, let's say, our gallon of water a day, and we're not drinking the water that is going to replenish us with the electrolytes from
Mhm.
our fruits and things of that nature, then you're just drowning out your body in your
Yep.
organs, right?
Yep.
You're flushing it out, but you're drowning it out too. So
Yeah.
you have to take into consideration the things that we put inside of our bodies. Just because we see it doesn't mean that we need it, right? So if
Mm.
I can see this Triple Crown book, and I can see this book of affirmations, and I can decide consciously which one is going to be more beneficial to me. One might be more entertaining than the other, but unless you're
Sure.
digging deeper into yourself, the affirmation might be a little bit deeper, deeper embedded for you. So taking it back to food, if we see a cup of grapes versus some chips, we might want to go for the chips depending
Yep.
on how we feel. But the cup of
Yep.
grapes would be way more healthier for you. Your body can digest that natural sugar better versus the sugar that's going to come from the breakdown of the digestion of the
Yep.
carbohydrates in the chips.
Yep.
So those things are going to pollute our blood versus the things in our blood from the natural sugar is going to be able to digest and do what it needs to. So we have to
Mm.
be cognizant of the things that we're putting inside of our bodies so that it won't contribute to the things that way it makes it easier to rule things out, right? I eat
Yep.
healthier. Okay, so what else is there?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm speaking more positively to myself. What else is there? I've depleted the stressors, the physical and the mental stressors around me. So what else is there? It helps us break things down. So it's not
Yes.
necessarily just about the things that we have going on inside of us. We got to think about the things before they get inside of us, right?
Yes.
Those are the things that are contributing to our our hair.
Mm, mm. Who would have thunk it, y'all? Who would have thunk
Mhm.
it? Nicole, you have blessed us immensely. I've got your social media handles going, your websites. Everybody, make certain you check in the description box so that you can just click on these links so that you can stay connected with Nicole. It was an absolute pleasure. And I'm so grateful that we were able to have this conversation. And I already know that there's going to be more to come because it was just that good. It was just that good. So, thank you so much again for being my special guest with us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Much gratitude.
Yes, listen, everybody. Was that not the truth right there? Who would have known that hair care could really speak to how we treat ourselves and self love and just breaking it down with all of the senses? Man, I'm ready to turn over a new leaf, right? If I want my hair to grow, I got to make certain I'm getting an abundance of all of the good stuff that I need. So I hope you all have enjoyed this segment. I hope you took notes, and don't worry, you can watch it again and again and again to get all of those nuggets that Nicole was releasing. And I just say, I want you all to be abundantly blessed by it. So, again, I am Sheniqua Inspires, and you are watching the Black Girl Inspire Her, where we're bringing forth that inspiration for everybody. We're just doing it from a Black girl perspective. Listen, while you're here on my channel, make certain you check out the other series. We've got the Black Girl Motivate Her going on. And we also started out with the Black Girl Encourage Her. So get your motivation, your encouragement, your inspiration And I got my podcast, Sisterly Sundays podcast, on there as well. So you can get your little spiritual upliftment while you're here all in one shot. So you all be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you all again on the next episode. Take care.